In the quaint, isolated village of Ravensbrook, the air was perpetually filled with whispers of the unknown. The village, surrounded by dense, misty forests, had long been the subject of eerie folklore and chilling tales, passed down through generations. However, none of the stories were as bone-chilling as that of the unseen visitor. It all began on a stormy night in the heart of winter. The wind howled through the trees, and the rain lashed against the windows, as if trying to force its way inside. The villagers, accustomed to the harsh weather, paid no heed and carried on with their lives, blissfully unaware of the darkness that was about to descend upon them. As the clock struck midnight, a knock echoed through the village, faint but persistent. It was a sound that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Curiosity and fear gripped the villagers as they cautiously opened their doors, only to find nothing but the stormy night outside. Bewildered, they returned to their homes, convincing themselves that it was just their imagination playing tricks on them. However, the knocks continued, night after night, each time growing louder and more desperate. It was as if something, or someone, was pleading to be let in. The villagers, now terrified, began to barricade their doors and windows, praying for the nightmare to end. But the unseen visitor was relentless. As the days turned into weeks, the knocks turned into bangs, and the bangs into violent pounding. The villagers, driven to the brink of madness, began to turn on each other, accusing one another of bringing this curse upon them. The once peaceful village was now consumed by paranoia and fear. Amidst the chaos, an old woman named Agnes, known for her wisdom and knowledge of the supernatural, spoke up. She claimed that the unseen visitor was a restless spirit, seeking vengeance for a wrong committed long ago. The only way to appease the spirit, she said, was to uncover the truth and bring justice to the wronged. Desperate for a solution, the villagers decided to follow Agnes's advice. They scoured the village archives, delving into the past in search of answers. As they dug deeper, they stumbled upon a chilling tale of betrayal and murder, dating back to over a century ago. According to the records, the village was once home to a young woman named Eleanor, who was falsely accused of witchcraft and sentenced to death. The evidence was fabricated, and Eleanor was innocent, but the villagers, blinded by fear and superstition, turned a deaf ear to her pleas. She was executed in the dead of night, her final words a curse upon the village. Realizing the gravity of their ancestors' mistake, the villagers decided to hold a séance, led by Agnes, in an attempt to communicate with Eleanor's spirit and ask for forgiveness. As the séance began, the air grew heavy, and the temperature dropped. The candles flickered as a faint whisper filled the room. Justice. Terrified but determined, the villagers apologized to Eleanor, acknowledging the wrong done to her and vowing to clear her name. The atmosphere in the room lightened, and for a moment, it seemed as if the curse was lifted. However, the relief was short-lived. That night, the knocks returned, more violent than ever before. The villagers, now in a state of panic, realized that they had made a grave mistake. Eleanor's spirit was not seeking forgiveness. It was seeking revenge. One by one, the descendants of those who had wronged Eleanor began to disappear, vanishing without a trace. The village was thrown into chaos as the unseen visitor claimed its victims, leaving behind a trail of fear and despair. With no other option, the remaining villagers decided to abandon Ravensbrook, leaving behind their homes and their past. As they left, the knocks ceased, and an eerie silence descended upon the village. Years passed, and the story of Ravensbrook became a chilling legend, told in hushed whispers and fearful glances. The village, once full of life, was now nothing but a ghost town, consumed by the shadows of its dark past. But the story does not end there. Travelers who dared to venture near the abandoned village reported hearing faint knocks in the dead of night, followed by desperate cries for justice. The unseen visitor, it seems, was still searching for its victims, unwilling to rest until every last descendant of the guilty was made to pay. And so, the village of Ravensbrook remains, shrouded in mystery and terror, a haunting reminder of the unseen visitor's wrath, with its story unfinished and its ending forever unknown. Decades after the last of the villagers had fled Ravensbrook, a group of adventurous urban explorers, intrigued by the story of the unseen visitor, decided to venture into the heart of the abandoned village. Equipped with cameras, flashlights, and a burning curiosity, they set out to uncover the truth behind the chilling legend. As they entered Ravensbrook, the air grew colder and a faint whisper seemed to dance with the wind. Undeterred, the explorers pressed on, documenting their journey through the ghost town. The village, once a bustling community, was now overtaken by nature, its buildings crumbling and its streets deserted. As night fell, the group gathered in the village square, eager to conduct a makeshift seance in an attempt to communicate with Eleanor's spirit. Skeptical but excited, they sat in a circle, holding hands and focusing their energy on contacting the unseen visitor. At first, there was nothing but silence. Then, slowly, a faint knocking sound echoed through the square, soft but undeniable. The explorers, their skepticism fading, began to ask questions, seeking answers from the spirit they believed to be present. The knocks continued, growing louder and more frequent, as if responding to their inquiries. The atmosphere grew tense, and a chilling breeze swept through the square, extinguishing their candles and leaving them in darkness. Panicking, the group scrambled to their feet, their bravado replaced by fear. The knocking had transformed into violent pounding, echoing through the village as if the very ground beneath them was shaken. And then, as quickly as it had started, the pounding stopped, leaving behind an eerie silence. The group, their hearts racing, decided to leave Ravensbrook, convinced that they had encountered the unseen visitor. As they hurried out of the village, the whisper returned, this time louder, filled with anger and despair. Justice, it cried, justice for the wronged. Shaken, the group returned to civilization, their footage and experiences a chilling testament to the legend of Ravensbrook. The story of their encounter spread quickly, reigniting interest in the village and its haunted past. Curiosity seekers and paranormal enthusiasts flocked to Ravensbrook, eager to experience the unseen visitor for themselves. But the village remained silent, as if waiting, biding its time. Months passed, and the influx of visitors began to dwindle, the world moving on from the story of the unseen visitor. But Ravensbrook, with its dark past and unresolved vengeance, refused to be forgotten. The village, now a popular urban legend, stands as a chilling reminder of the unseen visitor's wrath, its story unfinished, its secrets hidden in the shadows. And though the knocks have ceased and the cries for justice have faded, the legend of the unseen visitor lies on, its ending forever unknown, waiting, perhaps, for the next brave soul to uncover the truth and lay the restless spirit to rest. The village of Ravensbrook, with its eerie silence and abandoned buildings, continues to haunt the imagination of those who dare to remember. A ghost town consumed by a past it cannot escape, and a visitor unseen but never forgotten.